Thank you everyone for joining us. I am going to pause as we welcome everyone into the webinar today. Thank you for joining us for our next edition of the 49er Industry Chat. My name is Noemi Guevara. I'm the Director of Alumni Engagement here at California State University, Long Beach, and we thank you for joining us today. Before we start, I would like to let you know this session is being recorded and it will live on our video library, on our website, and on our YouTube channel. Before we start, I would also like to inform you, we encourage you to use our Q&A box located above or below your screen to submit any questions throughout our chat today for our guest speaker. And now it's my honor to introduce our guest speaker for today's chat, Daniel Schmalen, with his chat, All Hands on Deck, Let's Talk About Security. Daniel is a manager for network security at Reply, a global IT consultancy company. He manages teams and projects in the security field with a focus on networks and hybrid architectures. During his 10 years of work experience, he worked in several industries and countries, as well as in various different technology stacks and vendors. Some of the projects were for leading companies such as Lufthansa or Vodafone, and some were for industry revolutionary projects like the Access 4.0 project at Deutsche Telekom. Apart from his work duties, he also works as a lecturer for a German university and feeds his YouTube channel with a weekly video about IT security. His passion is to spread the knowledge and attract new people to the IT security field. Please join me in welcoming today's 49er Industry Chat host, Daniel Schmalen. Thank you, Daniel, so much for joining us all the way from Chicago.
Thank you, Noemi.
We're very excited to hear your journey through Cal State Long Beach as you pursued your master's in computer engineers. But I would like to start at the beginning. I know you came in as an international student, so I was hoping you could share with us where you got your undergrad, what was that experience like, and then how did you find about Long Beach and your journey to Long Beach?
Sure. Yeah, welcome also from me. So for me, the journey is a bit different, maybe for most of the American students, because I'm from Germany. I started my undergrad school in Germany, did my bachelor over there. But my university required me to go 1 semester abroad during my bachelor program. So I had to pick a university, and I always had the affinity to go to the US and especially to California. And Long Beach was a pretty easy pick for me. I found the campus and everything pretty nice, so I applied to it and got into the semester at the study abroad at the beach program. And yeah, had a great time in my undergrad time.
So that's, you said, I think that was around 2015. So you went back home after that, and then you had the opportunity to come and pursue your master's here.
Yeah, absolutely correct. So what I missed to mention is during my bachelor degree, I was already working with my first employer. And yeah, I pretty much, after the semester abroad, I finished my my bachelor thesis, did my degree, and get back to work with my first employer. And eventually then I decided to do grad school. And I asked my employer, okay, I would like to do grad school, and I have the crazy idea to go abroad again to Cal State Long Beach. And they set me free for 1 year and told me, like, okay, if you can make it in 1 year, the master degree, go ahead. And yeah, so I ended up in Cal State Long Beach again, 2017, for my master's degree for the grad school.
Wonderful. And can you share your experience just coming in as an international student to a master's program specific for engineer? What was that experience like? And maybe if there was like a faculty member or a program that really made an impact during your time here?
Yeah, so as an international student, at first you are completely overwhelmed by the impressions you're going to receive on campus, because you need to consider this kind of universities, this huge campus-like universities with like 40,000 students do not really exist in Germany. So it's incredible to see the campus, all the people, the diversity, especially at Long Beach, the diversity of people, the internationals you're going to see and meet. So it was an incredibly crazy, great experience for sure. A lot of challenges for sure, especially like writing academic papers in English was one of the challenges, to adapt the way of writing, because I was good at speaking English, but my written English was just okay, but yeah, not good enough on academics level. And yeah, for the faculty part, I really had one faculty member making a big impact. He was also my supervisor for my master thesis, was Mr. Alias Jari. He is, I think, leading the security parts of the CCS of the Computer Engineering, Computer Science department. I'm very thankful still to today. He helped me a lot during my journey. I took his classes. He was a great supervisor, and he helped me definitely beyond his job. And so, yeah, definitely a good address to go to.
And that's such a great story to share, that you found community, being so far away from home, and someone that you could really lean on as
Yeah.
you obtain your degree. That's wonderful. So you graduated, and then what? Like, maybe you could share about your experience now as a recent graduate and pivoting into that working world again.
Yeah. So I graduated after the 2 semesters. So did my degree in the 2 semesters with I think the maximum workload I could actually do. I did 18 ECTS, 18 units in the first semester and 15 units in the second semester. So that was a lot of study in the master's degree, but I was under time pressure. And after I did the degree, I had a great job offer, actually, from Facebook. I'm moving to San Francisco. But I did find a girlfriend, a German girlfriend, who moved back to Germany as well. So I decided in favor of love against the job, and returned home to Germany. And yeah, eventually changed my employer then, and became part of the Reply community, which is my current employer. As you just introduced it already, it's a global IT consultancy company. And yeah, that's pretty much how I got into the working field again. I was in a luxurious position to have a work contract once I came home from Cal Long Beach, because my employer just set me free for 1 year, and so I still had a working contract. So I was in a very luxurious position. Yeah, and today I'm as a J1 trainee in the US. So I'm currently in Chicago working for Reply, because I asked them, okay, I would like to have a broad experience, working a broad experience actually. So they said like, okay, we can offer you something. Come to Chicago for 1 year. If you like it, you're gonna stay. And yeah, no strings attached on the work. So yeah, that's pretty much where I am today, and why
So
I'm connecting
once
from
your
Chicago.
contract is done with Replay, you're going back to Germany.
Exactly.
Work for them at the corporate office in Germany.
Yeah, exactly. So my wife and me, we did the hard decision. I got an offer to stay in the US, but due to some personal reasons, we both believe going home is the better solution for us both. So we are grateful for the opportunity to work in the US, living in the US. That was the first time for my wife. But yeah, we're gonna return to Germany with a lot of new experience, nice memories, and yeah, that's the plan.
And a network of people that you possibly could lean on as well here in the
Oh
States.
yes.
Yeah. Wonderful. Well, I'm glad you followed your heart and it all worked out for you. just kind of wanted to dive in a little bit. I know in your bio, I read you work for some leading global companies. Maybe you could share about your experience working that in those companies and maybe some of like the ins and out of working, in the various industries and locations.
Yeah, sure. So as a consultant, you will get thrown into projects, different customers with different technology pretty frequently. So I found myself quite early in my career at a very big project, which you already mentioned, at Lufthansa, the biggest German airline. And yeah, it's always a challenge to get into new projects, new customers, because you have to adapt yourself. You have to do a lot of educational research before, because not every project is the same. You don't always know everything before. So it's always a great challenge. And it's pretty much also one of the advices I would give to all the students or early in their career path is never get comfortable with the knowledge you have today, because the knowledge today might be not enough for tomorrow. And it's something which is especially true for the consultancy area, because you need to evolve and adapt day by day. And yeah, so I did great projects with Lufthansa, for example, building the entire network architecture globally. So for all the, I think 110,000 employees Lufthansa has, building a new global internet and local area network infrastructure. I did some projects for Vodafone, which is the biggest or second biggest carrier we have in Europe. So you can compare it with AT&T, with Verizon. It's a similar scale as compared to the US. Did big projects over there as well. Another project at Deutsche Telekom, which is another carrier where we developed a new way of connecting home users to the internet with adapting very new technologies using Kubernetes, Docker, microservices, and those kind of things, which are like rising technologies in the past, but no one in the industry had used it before. So yeah, a lot of projects, a lot of variety. I really do love it. Also, in my time here in the US, I've worked for so many great companies, and yeah, it's always a great journey, definitely, but always a challenge.
Definitely. And I know, I mean, I think security or just engineering in itself is, a field that is always growing and expanding, and you're always going to need engineers. Can you talk about like security? I know it's always in the news, so various cyber attacks. And I guess my question is, and you just mentioned, how do you keep abreast of the latest technologies and to be on top of anything that might happen in the future?
Yeah, that's definitely the biggest challenge in security, like staying on top of everything. And there is no easy way of doing it. There's a lot of steps involved you need to do. Is like, for one, like firstly to read the news, know what's happening right now, know what's happening in the industry, know what's happening, like major incidents. If a big company like Twitter gets hacked, something you need to be aware of, or like new vulnerabilities were found where you might need to reach out to your customers because they are using the products or the technologies. So yeah, it's a lot of research, continuous research, staying awake pretty much, and reading news. Yeah, but yes, as you mentioned, security is one of the greatest challenges probably as we have it, especially right now with a war going on in Europe, where especially our customers in Germany are worried about their security. So yeah, it is definitely a tough game, and it's always like a cat and mouse game, being fast enough or moving forward quickly enough, and help the customers to build the best potential network they have with their budget.
Great. And then I think, we are living in this whole post-COVID time, but as of COVID, like, what do you foresee is the biggest adjustment that the security industry had to face or will be facing or is facing right now?
Yeah, the security industry is facing one of the issues, or maybe it was facing this issue also before COVID, but COVID was an accelerator for this issue because companies used to think of like a walled garden. Their network is a walled garden. Everything which is within the walls is secure, and everything out of the walls is unsecure. But now people moved to the home office, moved to remote working somewhere. And so people are not within the walls anymore. And
Right.
it required enterprises and companies to adapt the way they think and how they build their own architectures. And I think there's a lot of changes were driven through COVID. Definitely positive changes, but also enterprises were, especially smaller enterprises, were surprised by the pace we had to go during COVID, because some companies were just forced to send their people home during regulations. And they were just not prepared for the situation because they were always thinking about this walled garden approach. Everyone has to come in. No, home office is not possible, they were saying. A lot of enterprises were saying that. And now it is possible because they tried it out. They had to try it out. And yeah, this is definitely one of the challenges we had for security, because as an architect, you have to rethink where you put your security measures. You are not able to put it like in just one central instance as you had with the walled garden approach, but you have to put it for everyone who is sitting everywhere. So I could move from Chicago to Austin and work from there. I could move to I don't know, to Mexico. I could move to Germany and just work from there. You cannot control where the people are working from. And yeah, I think this is one of the biggest challenges we are facing post-COVID. Companies still trying to find their way of hybrid working. So some companies are forcing their people to come back to the office. I personally don't think this is a good idea. You see it around different companies. You hear news about Apple, for example. The employees are not happy being forced back because it worked also from the home office. So yeah.
Right. Yeah. Definitely things are still, evolving and changing every day. So I do have some questions from the audience here for you. What's a typical day like for you now?
Okay, for me right now, I still work for some German customers. So I get up at 6 a.m. in the morning. We have a 7-hour time difference from Chicago to Germany. So that's why I'm getting up that early. And yeah, I'm doing several tasks right now. I do some technical work. So I'm trying to solve some issues customers have. They just throw an error at me or a trouble, and I'm just doing troubleshooting for them. Secondly, I do a lot of pre-sales, going to customers, pitching some technologies, ideas to them, pitching solutions. I do create a lot of marketing material, writing white papers, because I still have the kind of academic, I don't know, gene in me. So I still love to write papers, do my research, and put something out with my name on it. And ultimately, I'm also doing some project management. I'm overseeing several projects. I pretty much have probably like 8 or 9 projects running where I'm the project manager. I'm just trying to see, okay, is everything working in progress? Do we have some hiccups somewhere? So yeah, this is pretty much my day right now. It's all over the place. It's all over the place country-wise, so Germany and US, different topics like technical stuff, marketing stuff, sales, everything.
Everything. You brought up an interesting point. I think when we think about engineering, sometimes I used to think it was like behind a computer, but also I've learned how important communication skills are, writing skills, and I think it's something that we wouldn't think of, and I if you could share, I guess, skills that you think, students should definitely work on before they graduate? We would appreciate that.
Yeah, that's a great point here. Soft skills is definitely something, even though you are an engineer and you might want to focus yourself on maybe doing software development, so you don't anticipate to do any kind of sales business stuff. I still recommend doing soft skills, because soft skills will help you to articulate yourself better. It will make your life easier if you know how to communicate well and appropriately. Of course, you will need to do your errors during your career path. No one is born ready. So you will definitely send some emails out with the wrong recipients. You write something wrong in there. You have a passive aggressive email because you just was upset about something. It will happen to you. But involving or investing time in developing your soft skills on how to present, how to lead a communication, how to, yeah, I'm trying to think about additional examples. I think one of the biggest is definitely learn how to do presentations, because if you get into the consulting area, you will do a lot of presentations. So you need to get yourself comfortable talking in front of people, and also know how to build slide decks, for example. It seems like a no-brainer, but building a good PowerPoint presentation is super crucial. Yeah, and pretty much then something you will also need a lot as an engineer is time management. It's something I had to learn also on the hard way. Do not get lost on a specific task for too long. And yeah, that's pretty much.
And then another question, how did you know that this was the field you wanted to pursue?
So I was always interested in computers. So I was, let's say, a nerd when I grew up. I was also on the edge of becoming a professional esports player, but I luckily dropped this passion and
which
went
in the future it's going to be a major.
Might be, but for me it was definitely not the major path I should take. But so yeah, I was always around computers. My parents was always annoyed the amount of hours I spent on my computer, but it was an easy no-brainer for me. So I would to do something with computers also in my professional career. And the drift I got into IT security just came by random events, pretty much. So I was starting as a network engineer building networks, and just one of few tasks I just got where like my boss asked me, okay, can you look into this topic? Are we secure here? And it's just the task which started my interest for security, to just think outside of the box of just engineering, but also adding the security layer to it. So yeah, computers was always a thing. IT security was by accident, and I loved it. I stick with it. I love the challenge it brings. I'm a very abstract thinking person, so I love the challenge IT brings in the abstractness and the logical thinking way. So yeah.
And it paid off. It turned out pretty well.
It's payoff, yeah.
Do you need a bachelor's degree to get into your field? Are there specific fields a student should focus on now? How would someone wanting to make a career change into your field do that today?
Okay, first part of the question.
So
bachelor
do you
degree.
need a bachelor's degree to get into the security field? And then second part is, are there specific fields a student should focus on? And then lastly, if someone wants to change careers, how do they go about doing that?
Yeah, okay. So for security field, I do recommend doing a bachelor degree. Do a bachelor degree in computer engineering, computer science. One of the ways you can do it. I did a bachelor degree in business information systems. So I did have some business know-how. I had some IT know-how. Any of those are good to start with, but you will have problem to find good jobs without a bachelor degree because it became almost like a necessity in nowadays hiring. So I'm a hiring manager as well. I already hired, I don't know, 15 or 20 people in my life. Had so many interviews, and yeah, the bachelor degree is definitely a critical point to have. But it doesn't matter if you had like a specialization or a minor in IT security during your bachelor degree. You don't need that. That's not important. You can specialize with your personal projects, for example, off school or also on school, but outside of your academics, to do some IT security, do some testing yourself, build yourself a project, and gain your first experiences around the IT security field. So that's also easy because pretty much every field in the IT space has IT security to it. So if you are a passionate developer, you can look into IT security for development software. So whatever is your passion in IT, you will find the IT security drive in there, and just do whatever you like. And it is very hard to time the market. So do not just go for something because the market is big on it right now, but also something you actually like, because you are going to work for 40 years pretty much. So you should pick something you're actually gonna enjoy doing, and not just go there and go home after you work. For someone who wants to change the job and move over to IT security, there are a lot of opportunities you can follow to get yourself involved into IT security. A good start is, for example, Udemy, taking some courses and classes on online platforms like Udemy, doing like one of the small certifications you have on the market. There are multiple organizations which do offer some, where you get your first steps into the field, and then just go for a junior job, get your experience, get your hands-on experience, build your CV, and eventually you will just step up every time you face a new challenge.
Wonderful. And I believe through our CPACE program, they have a cybersecurity certificate now. So.
Oh, nice. I didn't know that.
Yeah, they do.
That's great.
Yeah. You mentioned one of your passions is to spread knowledge and attract people to the IT security field. How do you foresee yourself doing this, and why?
So the reason also why I started my YouTube channel, where I talk about several things in the IT security spaces, because I thought like, okay, I've gathered so much knowledge, and I do enjoy to share my knowledge. And one of the easiest ways to do it is, yeah, pretty much record yourself, talk about something, and put it up on YouTube. And on the other side, I'm also a university instructor. Or I used to be a university instructor, because this year I'm like a little bit too far away from the university.
Yeah.
But it's just something I really do enjoy. And during my time outside at university, I enjoy to work together with students and help them to form their future, because yeah, they are pretty much our future, right? So there's someday I will just go and shut down my computer and will be too old to work, and I will be more than happy to have introduced or educated a few of the people who take over my job with my knowledge. And yeah, that's pretty much why I really do love to inspire people to just grow the next next generation people.
Yeah.
Even though I'm just turning 30, so I'm still young.
Right.
But I really do love to work with young students, especially also those who are still undecisive about the future. And I always offer like, okay, just shoot your questions to me. I will help you. And I got so much experience and expertise during my 10 years of work now, because I started when I was 19. I just want to share. And
wonderful. So you foresee going back to teaching at the university when you go back to Germany, and then how do you balance, a career being an instructor and then your career as in engineering?
It's definitely a challenge, but the good thing is the university I'm doing the classes at, they are flexible with the time. So I usually give the classes starting at 4 p.m., for example. So I do start my work day early on that day. So I just get my workload done and then just move over to the university part. And it is definitely a balance. It is definitely something added overhead on my day. And probably sometimes my wife would be happy to have more time with me instead of me just persuading or doing some of my hobbies and doing the teaching. But yeah, it is a balancing act, but it is so much worth it for me personally. Like I get so much out of it. And if I only get to inspire one student in the entire class, I'm just happy because I did something positive.
Definitely, it is rewarding to inspire at least or change someone's life and trajectory, one seat at a time. What aspects of the security field interest you? If they're asking if you could give one example from start to finish.
Okay, so which interests me? I'm coming from the network field, so network security was always the one which interested me the most. And it is always as I already said, it's the cat and mouse game we are playing in IT security. So for me, it's a task to protect the network from someone outside. And so yeah, I pretty much go to the customer and tell them, okay, you should do this because this is based on industry standards and best practices, what you should do, the best you could do to protect yourself against someone who just tries to get some ransom from you or hold you ransom. And yeah, how would I describe it from beginning to the end? Usually, my work is around firewalls. So I would build firewalls for a customer. So I just get his requirements. What are you trying to achieve? What are your business drivers? What are your business goals? And consult him in the correct vendor, the correct hardware. And once we agreed on everything technical, we're gonna do the sales part. We have to agree on some prices for the rollout and everything. And yeah, then once the hardware is available, I just go to the customer, install everything, set it up to the requirements set and the information given by the customer, and make sure that I can hold my promises, which I gave during the pitch and the sales phase. So I'm always using the sentence, I don't see myself as a salesman, but a consultant. So I'm not trying to sell you something. I'm just trying to consult you on the best you should do or you could do. So yeah, but projects are so different from each other. So it's hard to describe for me to describe from beginning to the end because everything's so different.
Right, definitely. In your perspective, what is the biggest cybersecurity threats that maybe small businesses will be facing in the future?
It will be the same as it is for the past 3-4 years, which is ransomware, like the malware which will encrypt your file system and will ask you for a ransom money to decrypt your files again, so you could use it again. It is the, let's say, the cash cow of the hackers, because it is for so easy to get into networks, infect them, then encrypt some servers where like crucial data documents are on, and the company would go bankrupt if they cannot use the server. So ransomware is the biggest trend and threat we have in the last years and also in the upcoming years, because yeah, it is super effective. A lot of US governments or institutions were hit by ransomware as well. I think was it Boston or Baltimore, one of the cities got hit really bad, many days, an outage of their systems. Yeah, it is super hard to protect yourself against it, because usually it just starts because one employee clicks on a link, and that's where it starts. And it is just super hard to defend against this, because those emails just look very real.
Authentic, yeah.
Yeah, very authentic. And then you have people who are non-IT persons, who just do not know that there's even a chance that clicking on a link is something bad. So one of the preventions is awareness, education, educate the people that there is an issue. You should not click on links. You should not open attachments from emails which you did not expect. But in the end, the hackers will always find a way. So
They do, and I think higher ed has been no stranger to that as well. I've heard of universities that have gone through some of those issues as well. Do you counsel a business through the ransom process when security fails, or do you only deal with the prevention space?
no, I was also you call this role an incident manager, and I was in this role for 2 companies already who got hit by ransomware, and I also consult them in how to get out of the situation. And yeah, so I do also do the prevention part, which is before it actually they get hacked, but I also do help them once it happened. And this is usually also one of the most challenging parts, because it is always a different situation. It's always a different ransomware. It's a different target they had, and every customer is different. One customer maybe do not have really backups, and they pretty much have to pay the ransom money to the hacker, because they would lose all the data because they didn't do backups, which is a big important lessons learned for the company, because then they know, okay, backups are important. But yeah, I also helped them when it happened, and I did it in the past as well. And it's always a very stressful situation, because people are very stressed, because managers and CEOs do see a huge risk of losing the entire company just because of this incident, just because someone clicked a link, and then yeah, shit hits the fan pretty much.
So definitely be careful what you click on. And I guess we're never going to get rid of those very long passwords in the future. Before, I know we are close to time, but wanted to bring it back to, networking, building a community. If you could just talk about that, how you've navigated that, and whether you're part of any professional development committees and groups now.
Yeah, networking is definitely one of the biggest parts you should also consider during your studies at Cal State Long Beach, but also afterwards, because the bigger your network is, the more options you will have in the future, and the more you will see. So I personally use LinkedIn a lot to build my network of professionals, add some of my students, for example, which I teach in Germany. I just add them there and just follow their path after they finished their bachelor degree. I add my colleagues from work. I also add people who are just sharing the same interest as me and just exchange ideas with them. And getting their opinion about something. So yeah, building this kind of community and network is important. I'm doing mainly it on LinkedIn. Also, due to my certifications in some communities which come from the certification itself. So yeah, pretty much my advice to the students is start early on with networking. Networking is one of the key parts you're going to have in the future, especially once you or if you want to move up the career ladder and the path and you become a manager, for example. Having some contacts will always help you. So start early. I was bad at it when I was younger. I was a very introvert person, so I was never on networking events. I really hated this kind of events. I was like, nah, I don't need that. And now 10 years later, I know I should have gone there. I should have networked. I should have approached the persons and introduced myself. But yeah, it's a good way.
That fear, once you just put yourself out there. The first tip is just doing it. So I know we're close to time, so I think I'll finish off with 2 questions. One of them would be, you kind of did answered it right now, like any words of wisdom for our students or maybe our young alumni that might be watching, or maybe those that you sparked an interest in pursuing a security career. And then 2, like what's next for you?
Okay, wisdom. The wisdom is do not get too comfortable with the know-how you have. I already mentioned it before. Keep striving to get better. Will make the best version of you can be. And yeah, start networking, connect with other peoples, and yeah, move onward in the IT security space. This is a field which will never die out, I guess, as long as we have computers, as long as we have difficult political situations, let's call it that way. You are always needed. So welcome to the space. Go ahead. If you want to have more information, reach out to me. I will always happy to introduce my ideas and give you some guidance. What's next for me? Yeah, next for me, I'm gonna return to Germany at Christmas. I'm gonna become senior manager at Reply, leading a bigger department than I do today. So big steps also for me. And yeah, I would probably stay in the IT security field till the end of my working days. It's a great challenge. Every day is different. So yeah, that's next.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for sharing your journey and your experience, both through Cal State Long Beach, giving us insight into this industry, which is definitely up and continuing and will continue to grow. Before we go, I know you mentioned you are on LinkedIn. Are you okay if people befriend you and ask you questions on LinkedIn?
Yes.
They put a note that their fellow Cal State Long Beach students or alumni, so you
yes.
get them.
Go ahead and storm my inbox. It's absolutely fine. Just connect with me. Give some messages to me. I'm always happy to connect. I love the networking piece. And yeah.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Daniel, for your time. We wish you the best in Germany, and maybe I know we have many international students. Maybe you'll lead up an alumni network in Germany one day for us.
Yes.
And then we definitely look forward to welcoming you back home when you are back in the States.
Thank you.
Thank you everyone for joining us. Please visit our website to learn about our future chats and follow us on social media. We thank you for joining us today.